All right, guys. So in this video, I want to talk to you about the 5 different steps that you want to take when evaluating a franchise. As you guys may know already, I currently own 2 franchises, Kitchen Tune-Up and Bath Tune-Up, and I've gone through a different multitude of different franchises to make the selection and have been running this business over the course of the last 5 years. And one thing that I've learned about franchising is that you definitely want to take a step-by-step approach to making sure that you're picking out the right business opportunity, because you're going to be in it for a long time and you want to make sure that you are getting into the right business, because this is going to determine your success from day one. So let's talk about the 5 steps. I have some notes that I'm going to look at and explain each of the points that I want to talk about with you today. So the first things that you want to do, of course, the first phase of the process is going to be your initial research and alignment with your personal goals. So you want to understand, what is the objective, right? Why are you getting into franchising? What is it that you want to achieve? What kind of business you want to run? And ultimately, what kind of lifestyle you want to have? That's something that you want to do when, even before you get into the whole franchising assessment game, because you want to understand what is your motivation that's driving you to want to own a business one day. That's absolutely critical. Part of that initial research is also self-assessment. So understanding, what do you want from the business, or what type of business you want to run, just like I was talking about before. There's a lot of tests that you can do that will help you kind of hone in exactly what is your personality type and what kind of business is going to be suited best for you. So that's something you want to do in this first initial phase. One of the really good things about the franchising world is that you can get in touch with some really good brokers that are out there to help you in understanding and selecting the franchise that's going to work for you. And they're going to help you understand yourself as a person, as a business owner perhaps, and also do a self-assessment with you so that you can understand what type of business is going to work for you. It's a great option. And I think that if you can find a broker that can work with you to do that type of work, that's going to be perfect for you. So that's your phase 1. The second phase is going to be your financial assessment. Of course, this is one of the most critical phases, and this is the reason why a lot of people are going to go into franchising, because they know that it's a proven business model that can generate income for them right from day one. If not, there's a ramp up period and it can generate income for them right after that. So that's absolutely critical. But before you get into the income piece, you definitely want to understand your upfront cost. What is the investment that you are going to have to put into this business to start this business on day one? That is absolutely important. Of course, there is a document called the franchise disclosure document that every franchisor is legally obligated to share with you 14 days, or at least 14 days before you sign a franchise agreement. And when that happens, and that document, when that's shared with you, it has all the information that you would want to understand what is your cost going to be when you initially purchase that franchise. One of the biggest upfront costs for a franchise purchase is going to be your franchise fee. And that's something that you're going to have to pay right away to your franchise upfront when you start that franchise. But it's also going to have a lot of breakdown of where this cost is going to go. If there's any build out, if there's any type of fees that you're going to have to pay, if there's any type of ramp up time that you're going to need, and how much money you're going to need for that, payroll, all that items, those are going to be the things that are going to be broken down, and it's going to be available to you in the franchise disclosure document for you to look at to see what your upfront cost is going to be. The second thing is your operating cost. Your operating cost is going to be, when you are starting your business, or when you have started your business, what is going to be your operational cost on a monthly basis. What that's going to allow you to do is to give an idea of how much are you going to have to earn in order to make sure that your operational costs are met. That's also called a operational break even, but that's something that we can talk about in a different video. But for sure, this is something that you're going to have to look at as you're trying to assess your franchise, or the franchise that you want to open. Your financial projections. Of course, once you have the cost, the operating cost, you want to understand what your financial projections are going to be and create a financial model or a pro forma so that you can understand exactly how much are you going to be making over the course of 2 to 5 years. I love to start with 1 to 2 years in the beginning and then spread it out all the way to 5 years, so it gives you a real good understanding of what is your financial performance going to look like over the course of that many years. That's absolutely critical to do when you're looking at your financial assessment. And then, of course, your ROI. How do you measure your ROI? So let's say if you're spending $100,000, how quickly are you going to be able to spend? How quickly are you going to be able to recover that $100,000? And how much are you going to be able to make over that $100,000 over a period of time? And that's usually how you are going to calculate your return on investment or ROI. And that's, again, very critical. If you're thinking about any business and you want to learn about what that ROI should look like, check out the videos that I've done before about speaking specifically about return on investment for any business that you're looking into. And that's something that's going to take you a little bit deeper. Phase 3 is going to be your due diligence and doing due diligence with your existing franchisees for that particular brand. So every franchise is going to have franchisees that they can connect you with to get more information about what that franchise is about. Now, a franchise legally cannot give you financial projections or earning data because they're legally not allowed to give you that information because of a lot of multitude of different reasons of, getting into lawsuits and giving claims of earnings. That's something they just don't want to touch. But you can work with existing franchisees to understand that information. You can call them up, you can email them, you can connect with them however, and get the information about the profitability of that business. Now, those calls with the franchisees, with existing franchisees, are going to be the absolute most critical step that you're going to do in this entire process, because that is going to give you the information about the financial projections, but not only that, day-to-day life of a franchisee. How does a franchise exist? How do they operate? What do they love about that business? What do they hate about the business? That's absolutely critical. These are the questions that you can ask when you're talking to a franchise, an existing franchisee, about what is it that they like or hate about their business. It's absolutely critical information that you cannot get otherwise. And when you're speaking to your franchisor or the prospective franchisor, you need to ask them to give you franchisees to speak with that are doing great, but the ones that are not doing so good either. You want to have both type of franchisees that you can speak to so that you can get the information exactly from both these perspectives. That's going to be very, very important and helpful for you. All right, you also want to go out and visit a couple of franchise locations. If they're in your area, you want to go out to them and you want to visit those locations so that you can get a real good idea of how those operations are made. How is a facility run? What does a store look like? What does that operation look like? If it's a home-based business, then maybe that's not an option. But if it's a storefront, you definitely want to do that. If it's a restaurant, you definitely want to do that. If it is a location that's a physical location, you want to go out and visit those units to see exactly how those operational or how the managers of those businesses are running that business on a day-to-day basis. Okay. Now, the other thing that I would say is you want to evaluate the franchisor itself. So if you are looking at a franchisor and you're thinking about finding the right type of training that they're going to give you, you want to evaluate that right from the get-go. So you want to talk to them and ask them about, hey, what kind of training am I going to get? How long is that training going to be? Am I going to get support on site? So if there's going to be people that are going to come on site and are going to give you the information or are going to hold your hand throughout that process, what does that support look like? A lot of different franchises are going to have different supports, and they're going to look different based on the business model that they have going. But each and every single franchisor is going to have some sort of support system that they're going to be able to help you with. So you definitely want to ask them about that. You also want to ask them about ongoing support. So how much are they going to support you after you purchase that franchise? After you've signed that agreement, if you actually started to operate that business, how are they going to support you? Is there going to be a coach, a mentor, somebody that can help you on a day-to-day basis? How are they going to do that? You also want to talk about IT support and tech support. Do they have people that are going to help you set up the systems that you are going to rely on a day-to-day basis to run your operations? That's again a very critical question that you want to talk about. And then finally, your last phase is going to be your legal and contractual scrutiny. So what that means is once you decide that you want to move forward with this business, with this franchise, you are going to get a franchise agreement, and you want to take that to your lawyer. Have a legal team that you pay for, because this is absolutely one of the most important things you're going to do, to have them review what that document is all about and how it is going to hold you through that entire period of the document, or the entire period of the agreement, to hold you in that business. That's absolutely critical to understand. You want to understand its limitations. You want to understand where it focuses. You also want to understand where you might be held liable if you decide not to pursue this business anymore, if you decide to sell it, if you want to exit, if you wanted to pass it on to one of your family members. Those are all the things that you are going to see in that franchise agreement, and you definitely want to have legal advice to help you understand what that agreement is going to be before you sign that. We've talked about the franchise disclosure document. That's something that you're going to have as one of the first steps that you're going to take. And you're going to look at item 19 in that document, which is going to be your financial projections. And that's something that's absolutely critical. But again, before you sign the agreement, the actual franchise agreement, the disclosure document and the agreement can be combined and have them reviewed by your legal advisor, your legal counsel, to make sure that you're going and stepping into the right type of business with the right type of resources before you do that. And of course, finally, you want to make sure that this business is a right fit for you. So I like to say that when you're going into any business, you want to feel like you're going to wake up every day happy to run this business. You don't want to feel like you've just paid thousands of dollars and tens of thousands of dollars to buy a job. This is probably the most important question you're going to ask. Is this a business that I would want to run today, tomorrow, and 5 years from now? This is an absolutely essential thing that you want to ask yourself. And if the answer to that is no, there's a lot of different businesses that you can evaluate to make sure that you are actually in the right position to have that type of lifestyle, to have that type of business that you want to run. All right? So I hope this helped you. I hope this helped you evaluate, or will help you evaluate, franchises that you're looking at. If there's any questions that you have, reach out, comment down below, and hopefully we can help you out with your journey in finding a franchise or a small business, whatever you're into.